Hi, it's Wayne O'Keefe, and just recently a lot of the fishing I've been doing, I've been using a paternoster rig. So if you've seen my videos before, you'll know that I like the running line. So rather than have a running sinker, I have a burley cage, but it's running, so the fish can actually pull line through the burley cage, which is my weight, and so it actually has a chance to actually pull on the line, play a bit with the bait before committing to swallowing it. So that bit of play gives it some confidence. And that's really good. But the trouble with that is that those running lines sit directly on the bottom. Now, in some of the local waters that I fish, the estuaries and salt water, there's there is weed, there's a bit of rubble and rubbish on the bottom, and there's also the southern sea star. In some of the rivers, the freshwater rivers that I fish, there can be a lot of vegetable matter, weed, and also things like leaves and things like that in the water, which will completely cover the bait. So that is when I really like to have a paternoster rig. And I just thought I'd just show you, because I've been using the paternoster rig, just how I actually tie the paternoster. And it's a T-knot. It's very, very simple. I like to have it as simple as possible, because often I'll start with a running line, and if I'm not getting bites in that, I might change to a paternoster just to see if I can keep the bait out of the rubbish on the bottom, away from the sea star. Because many times in our local estuaries, and in particular the estuaries, but in some of the beaches, you pull your bait in and it's got a southern sea star, the starfish over the top of it, which means once it covers it, you're never going to get a bite. And occasionally there's trouble with things like crabs as well. And if you have a paternoster rig, the weight's on the bottom, the droppers are above that, and if you do it properly, you can actually hold them off the bottom. Now, the way I like to have my paternoster rig tied is like this. It's using a T-knot, and what you can see is how that actually holds it off the main line. Now, the way you do this is really, really simple. You've got the end of your line here that you're going to attach your weight to, your sinker. So from that point, you want to work out where you want to have your dropper. So just say we want to take about 45 centimeters from there. So I just move over. That's about 45 centimeters from where the sinker will be. Now what I want to do is I want to determine the size of the loop I want. I usually take about 30 centimeters of line there, okay? And then once I've got that, just make a loop like that. So a simple loop, and then pull the line, pull both pieces of line together. So you've got enough room so that there will be a loop in there. And then all you do is just twist them. What you're trying to do is twist these two pieces together, so that I'm going to do that about 6 times. The more you do it, the larger the T-knot will be. So I've just been wrapping those round about 6 times now. Now what I need to do now is just take the other end of the loop and pull it through. Pull it through with your finger. Okay, it is now, as you can see, what it's done. See what it's created there? It just pulls through there. So all I'll do now is just try and pull it evenly. Now normally I would wet that a little bit with saliva or water, so that the knot doesn't, the line gets a little bit abrasive, and when it gets abrasive it can actually tear into each other. But just for the sake of this, so what I'm doing there is I've pulled that together, and then just tighten it. Okay, as you can see, that now has got quite a boom. That's what I'm calling the boom. What that boom does, because of its tightness, it forces that line out on a right angle. So when I'm holding it up, it's going to be forced away from the line. Now what you can do is you can put your hook on this one. You can actually just pinch that together and then push that through the eye of the hook. So after pinching it and making a very, very small loop, you can just push it through the eye of the hook, loop that over, and then pull it tight so the hook then holds off there. I prefer not to do it that way. What I prefer to do, and then of course you can change hooks quite easily with this, it just comes off, slips out again. What I prefer to do here is to look at that, and you can see it's come off, it's quite nice and stiff. That's created the boom, that comes off at a stiff angle. So what I'll do is I will just trim one of these. Okay, I don't need all that much line. I work out how long that boom needs to be. And probably for me, I'd want to have the hook at about 10 centimeters, say about there. I'll leave enough on here for the hook. I'll just trim a bit more off that. And then I'll tie my hook to this. I'll just tie the hook simply, and everybody knows how to tie a hook. So I just work out what distance do I want to my hook. Okay, and then just go and I'll do a simple half blood knot. So after having tied that, your snood, your hook should hold off the main line. You can see that the stiff line is forcing it away from the main line. That minimizes tangles and allows you to keep that off the bottom because your weight is right down there. If you keep tension on the line, you'll be keeping that away from those the things on the bottom, the weeds, the starfish and everything else. Your bait is exposed and you've got the best chance of getting a fish. And that's why I really like this rig as an alternative when there's just too much about to get caught up or to cover your bait. I just got a bite and okay, maybe there's one fish about anyway. This is a little tiny trevally, so how do you like that? Anyway, look, it's worth a try. I like doing it. It's just another thing to use when you're fishing. So if you've enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe.